for the webinar today. All right. Kia ora, everyone. Namaste, ni hao, mabuhay, konnichiwa, or wherever you're from. Warm greetings from Ohomai Institute of Technology. We are delighted to have all of you join our webinar today. And we have been looking forward to sharing this exciting program with all of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, my name is Bipul Das. I work for Ohomai, been here for the last 16 years, and I'm quite privileged and honored to be the host for today's session. And I'm also very privileged to welcome our panelists for today. But the most important audience is you, because you're here and you spared your time. So we sincerely thank you for coming and joining our webinar, and it's going to be exciting, I promise you. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I'd like to give a quick, I'll probably pass on the mic to my colleagues, and they can do the round of introduction before we kick off the webinar. On to you, Craig.
Kia ora tātou, Craig Morley. I'm an associate professor here at Ohomai, and I will be one of the lecturers on the Master of Applied Science and in Biodiversity Management. I also have a colleague who will be working alongside me, Dr. Catherine Ross, and she will be introducing herself very shortly. So we will go through the program for you so you understand the structure, you understand what sort of graduate outcomes and jobs the students could be doing once they've completed their studies. And we'll talk about what sort of things and topics that students will be covering whilst they're doing their qualification with us. So, Catherine, if you can just flick through the slides as we go, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Do other people want to do introductions first?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
My apologies.
That's all good.
Apologies.
So I'm Dr. Catherine Ross. I'm another one of the tutors on this wonderful Master of Applied Science that we are going to be offering. I've been working at Ohomai for about 6 years. I'm an ecologist as my background, and I teach in all sorts of areas of environmental management. So yes, that's me. Shall I pass on to Ada?
Kia ora, how are you? It's great to see you all today. My name is Ada Chen. I'm the International Services Manager. I've been at Ohomai for some time, quite a long time now. And Beppo was one of my students a long time ago, a great student. And I was a student at Ohomai. I studied my master's study in management a few years back. It was a really, really good experience. I studied with Kavita. We're still talking about our study journeys, got really supported by our tutors. Now I'm doing my PhD study, so we will carry on. So hopefully we will have some of your students coming to New Zealand soon, so our team will process your applications. And I hand over to Kavita. Thank you.
Kia ora everybody, my name is Kavita and I'm the team leader for international admissions. My team deal with all the inquiries and the application process, making sure that the student meets the requirements, and then with the support of the faculty, we issue the offer letters and later on the receipts to students. I've been working here at Ohomai for 20 years this year. And I am excited, and students are my passion, and really look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Mr. Paramdeep Singh, please.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Bipul, and welcome everyone to this exciting Master of Applied Science. As you know, the advantage of Master is visa success rate is very high, and after 18 months of Master, student get 3 years of post-study work visa, and as per immigration rules, spouse also get full-time work rights, and if you have a child 5 years and above, then primary and secondary schooling is free. So this is but excellent high quality program. That's the main thing about this. And Craig and Catherine both are the great tutors, and you will learn a lot from them, and you can make a good career out of this. Thank you, Vipul.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think, again, without any further ado, I'll pass on the floor to Catherine and Craig. Please feel free to pop any questions in the Q&A tab, and our team will do our best to answer them at the end of the presentation. Catherine and Craig, all over to you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We can remind ourselves who we are.
we've just described who we are. So we'll flick on to the next slide. We've already done that. Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
So why study in New Zealand? Well, as Parentip is quite good, well said, was that we're internationally recognized in education. We do put a global perspective on our studies. We also focus a lot on New Zealand and the Pacific Islands and Asia as well. We do post study work and opportunities. So there's good opportunities for students to study ecology, environmental science, any of the practical sciences that have a biodiversity focus. So coming to Ohomai, all our instruction is in English. It's a fairly safe country. We don't have too many issues, and it's fairly relaxed. And of course, New Zealand's a beautiful place to live and work. So we would welcome all the students to come here and experience that with us. Thank you, Catherine. So the whole idea behind this master's degree is it's going to be a little bit different from what you would normally find at a university. This is going to be a lot more practical and a lot more hands-on learning. It is an applied master's. So the students will go out into the field, they'll learn real skills that will help them get jobs. It'll also engage in research projects, so they get an opportunity to get stuck into a topic that they're really interested in, and they'll collaborate closely with us as we deal with that. They'll also get an opportunity to speak with local businesses and local industries, particularly with our Māori community. And coming to Bay of Plenty, there's lots of other activities they can do beyond their studies. They can do a lot of recreational activities. We have some geothermal, excellent visiting sites, tourism, but also there's plenty of small jobs that they could perhaps do to keep them so they can pay their rent and their accommodation and food and that, and the weekends and whatever else as well. So as I said earlier, the students are going to gain a lot of practical hands-on experiences. When speaking to some of our international students from previous opportunities, most of them say that they've learned most of their classroom. It's been mostly classroom-based learning, whereas we think it's much better to take them out into the field, because outdoors is actually where the best classroom is. It's not within four walls. And so they're going to be learning environmental management, ecology, and conservation. They will have some online courses and some classes, and they are going to be taught not just from Catherine and I, but they will get experience and they'll get other people coming in to teach them as well. They will also do quite a few field trips and block courses. And again, we're going to be integrating our courses with industry and business and other stakeholders. Thank you, Catherine. So,
Shall I do this bit?
Yep.
Okay. So talking about the program structure itself, this Masters of Applied Science is a 180 credit program. This involves 2 core courses and 2 electives. So there's going to be 60 credits of taught material and then 120 credit research thesis. So the thing to bear in mind there is the research thesis is really a lot of independent work. Students have to go out and answer a research question themselves. So it's not going to be sitting in a classroom and learning. It's going out and getting those applied skills that that employers really value. In terms of the program structure, the compulsory courses they have to take are partnership and stakeholder engagement. This is a really important course which gives students the skills on how to talk to people, how to interact with people and groups in order to facilitate your research. So particularly in New Zealand, it's very important to be able to engage with our Indigenous Māori communities, and this course helps to give you some of the skills you need to do that. You've also got the Applied Research Methods course. Now on this course, you basically learn the tools required to do research. So study design, statistical analysis, how to deal with data, how to manage your project, the ethics involved with research. So it's really quite varied and skills focused. And then you get the option of 2 different elective courses. Now, the elective courses that are actually on offer are going to depend on the numbers of students we get, but the ones we're planning on running in 2025 are firstly contemporary issues. Now, this is a really exciting course where students can pick a topic that they're particularly interested in and take a deep dive into it and learn about that topic. It allows them to focus on something that's a lot more broad and hard-hitting and new than what they might be able to do in their research projects. Research projects tend to be quite narrowly focused. This allows them to look at a big issue, maybe something like climate change, something really hard-hitting and interesting. The biosecurity course is all about strategies for pest management. So designing a pest management plan and how to implement that, the practical steps of implementing that. Now, New Zealand is known to be a world leader in biosecurity and how we manage our invasive species. So there's really a lot of expertise here in the country. And even at Toi Ohomai, Craig is one of these people who's very, very knowledgeable in this area. So we have a lot of skill and background in that area. And it's a very exciting area. Our environmental monitoring course looks at how you go out and collect data. So your processes for going out and monitoring the environment, maybe monitoring your fresh water, monitoring your birds, monitoring your vegetation, but it's about being outside and having those skills and knowing how to monitor things. And then finally, remote sensing and GIS. This is where you're looking at data that's been collected by either satellites or drones, so remotely collected data, and then what you do with that. Looking at a mapping software like ArcGIS and actually dealing with that data. So that's also a skill that a lot of employers in the environmental sector are really keen on. So those are our elective courses. In terms of assessments, we don't have any exams in this course, so we're really focused. Master's levels learning is not about learning information and regurgitating it back. It's about critical skills. It's about problem solving. So we design our assessments to reflect that. We want students to actually be gaining these skills. So we assess using techniques like students creating portfolios or engaging in debates or discussing scenarios. There is some report writing as well, but in that writing, you need to be able to really critically analyze things. It's the thinking that we're interested in. It's the problem solving that we're interested in. So those are the kinds of skills that you're going to be needing to do this master's and that you're going to be getting on this master's. And then, of course, the big 120 credit thesis, your research component. This is where students are going to be independently asking a particular research question and designing a study to answer that question. So it's a real deep dive into a specific area. And really, we encourage students to start thinking as soon as possible, even before they start the course, what kind of area are they interested in? What might they like to do that research project in? So our master's degree is a full-time study option. Students are expected to dedicate at least 40 hours per week towards their studies. So as Craig said, while it might be possible to have a part-time job while you're doing this study, really the expectation is you're going to be doing full-time study. And as well as the guidance you get from us, the tutors, Toi Ohomai also offers other kinds of support services to look after our students. So we've got academic counseling, we've got career guidance people. You get lots of help with your accommodation and visas through our wonderful international office. So students generally are very, very well supported at Toi Ohomai. In terms of potential employment pathways that students might have, so doing this master's degree allows you to really get a specialization in a particular field. So you're specializing in biodiversity management. This allows you to be able to conduct research or it will also prepare you for more advanced roles in sectors like industry, or going into research, going into academia, but being able to access those higher level jobs because you have those higher level skills. So I won't read through these roles here. They're written down in the presentation, but these are the sorts of roles that you might go into from this degree. And likewise, employers, there are lots of potential employers in lots of different areas. Department of Conservation, conservation NGOs, so there's plenty of national organizations like Forest and Bird, but also international organizations, research institutes. So we've got our Crown Research Institutes in New Zealand, Scion, Landcare Research, NIWA. You've got local and central government. You've also got government departments like the Ministry for Environment and the Ministry for Primary Industries, MPI. Environmental consultancy is a popular destination. Regional councils, I believe, pay quite well. You've also got renewable energy companies and land trusts, or industries like farming and forestry. So really, there's a lot of possible places that you could end up going into. Right, I think I'll hand over to Craig again.
Thank you, Catherine. So we're expecting our first intake on the 1st of November this year. Well, actually, it'll be the 5th, I think it is. So while we said the 1st, it'd be good to have the students arriving a little bit earlier if they can. The fees there are listed on the qualification. Now, please note that this is over 18 months. A traditional master's is normally 24 months or 2 years. So this is a dedicated course specifically to focus on that research aspect after they've done their 4 core papers. Next slide, please.
Oh, sorry.
So what are we sort of looking for when it comes to applicants? They must have an IELTS overall result of 6.5 with a score no lower than 6. This is because we actually have quite a high level or expectation for them to write in English. We also have another way in which someone could come into doing this course. It may not necessarily be that they have a bachelor's degree, but they could have experience in other areas. So they may have done a degree in art, they may have done a degree in economics, they may have done a degree in history. As long as they can show that there's a passion or an interest, particularly with a biodiversity focus in the biological sciences, that this is where they would like to go. I know of people who have done an art degree who've been painting forests, and then they go, actually, I've got a real interest in the forests, so I want to study the ecology, I want to study about the water, the air, and I want to study about the environment. So we're looking for people who have a passion, who are motivated to come to New Zealand to study with us. And with that, we get highly motivated with them and we'll work alongside them. And that's what really drives both Catherine and I for the success for these students. Next slide, please.
Oops, not too far.
So,
sorry, Craig.
That's all right. So there are some basic requirements for the students to undertake for their administration and applications, references. We would like a 400-word statement of purpose. Now, we don't want to just have people write words about what they would necessarily, what they know about the topic, but we want to know why they want to do this topic, why they're interested. We want to understand their motivations and their goals, because that's how we work with the students, and we get really excited by that. And then, of course, a CV, and we're going to have not interviews per se, but we want to meet and greet every student, and then we can have a chat with them and find out what makes them tick, what their passions are, and why they would like to study here in New Zealand with us. So these are some of the basic requirements. Most of this information you can read as the agents, and I'm sure you know this already, so we'll just continue on.
Yeah. There we go.
All right, so on that note, I trust that we have outlined the program for you a little. If you have any questions, look, we look forward to answering those and trying to encourage people to come to our course.
Great. Thank you very much, Catherine and Craig. I think I've learned quite a few things about the program itself. So thank you for enlightening us. We have a lot of time, ladies and gentlemen. I know there would be questions coming in, and we already got a few questions on the screen. So we'll do our best to answer them. And if you got more questions, please feel free to put them on the Q&A tab. Right. Okay, so we should start with the first question on the screen from Mr. Brijesh. Hi, Brijesh. Thank you for joining our webinar today. And the question is, could you please provide a detailed breakdown of the fees for international students, including tuition fees and any additional cost, mainly to obtain visa, and how much finance needs to be shown? I think that's a really good question. And yes, we shall be providing the fees breakdown. I've already mentioned on the screen before, the fees for 18 months is 38,750 New Zealand dollars, and that's for the entire duration of 18 months. But what we expect from the student is to pay for the first year fees, which I think, Kavita, would you be able to share the first year fees for the masters?
I do want to make a point here that students who are starting in November will have the 2024 fees, but the fee is going to slightly increase if the student does defer to next year. The first year fee would be 27,500, and then the balance would be for the second half of the fees. There is also the insurance levy and one-off administration fee. I think we can put all of this information in a nice format and email it out to all the agents, if that would be better.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kavita. And yeah, so we shall be sharing this information so you can provide the right information to your students who are interested to come here. I think Kavita made a very good point. So do not delay the investment for your future. If you want to start this year, November is a great time. And we did share the fees for next year, which is slightly going up. But for any reason, if you cannot join this year, you're more than welcome to apply for 2025. All right. Thank you, Brijesh, for that question. Now, moving on to the next one. Mr. Mubarakas. Hi, Mubaraka. Thank you for joining our webinar. Hello, everyone. Since this course has a research component, is the student required to submit a research proposal and get a supervisor before the application process?
Because
And
that
please
is
explain.
Miss Mubarak.
So you
Ms.
do.
Mubarak, my apologies. Ms. Mubarak.
Hello. You do have to submit a proposal, but not before you come. So you do that as part of the Applied Research Methods course. So you don't have to do that before you come, but it is a good idea to start thinking about the topic that you might like to do your research in as soon as possible.
And we will work with you to come up with a supervisor with suitable expertise. But yes, we will work with the student to come up with a research topic. We will work with the student to come up with their research proposal. And that is all done before they actually start their research component doing the thesis.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Now, the next question is from Ellen. Please attach the PowerPoint. It's just a request. Please attach the PowerPoint separate from the recording so we can send it to potential students. Yes, Ellen, we shall certainly do that. So you'll have a copy of the presentation, the checklist, application forms, the fees breakdown, which Ada has kindly already shared on the screen. And you can counsel your students so they can make an informed decision around the choice. All right, so thank you. We have a question from an anonymous attendee. What is the entry requirement for this course? Is prior experience in research mandatory?
The prior experience is possible. Ideally, we would like them to have their bachelor's degree or higher. If they've got a bachelor's degree in the topic outside of biodiversity management or biology, we would also look at that and look at what they would like to do and what their motivation and their passion is associated with that. In terms of work experience, we would like to see them having done some work in an environmental or ecological capacity, or as a volunteer perhaps, or they've worked with their university or their school or industry in an aligned topic or subject. Catherine, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not mandatory to have prior experience in research. We'll love it if you have, but we teach all those things you need to know about how to do research on the course. That's part of your course.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine and Craig. The next question is from Adhiraj. Hi, Adhiraj. It's just a question. How do you define B- grade? We had an interesting discussion just prior to the webinar. So I understand, and we understand and appreciate that each country and even universities within those countries have different ways of assessing and giving grades. So we just need to be flexible. But we also need to be making sure that it is matching what is the expected outcomes within New Zealand for those B-. So I don't know if you can say, Mr. Paramdeep Singh.
I
think you
think
might be able to.
Craig should answer this question.
Right, Craig.
Well, there isn't a clear distinction or a grade that goes with that. As you quite clearly said, is that we would look at the marks, we would look at the overall subjects. There might be some subjects that the student excels in, some subjects that the student may struggle with, and we look that up as an overall balance of what the student's skill and qualifications are. This is a discussion that we'd probably have individually with the students when we interview them anyway, just to find out what that is. Like I say, it's not a hard, fast, concrete mark or grade.
Yeah, grades are not always the most important thing if the student is motivated and has the right reasons for wanting to be on the course. So I think we can be a little bit flexible with things like that.
Yes.
Right, thank you. Now the next question is from Baninder Kaur. When considering residence pathway, again, that's an immigration question, I can already sense it. What would be the employment rate and approximate hourly wages for students who complete this qualification and go out seeking employment in New Zealand? Okay, I just like to make a twist to the question because, again, Baninder, thank you for the question, but we're not allowed to give immigration advice. But I think Craig and Catherine could probably reiterate the employment pathways, because for me also, I could see on the screen, it is quite specific to those biodiversity field. So in terms of the employment opportunities, how confident would you be, Craig and Catherine?
Well, given our track record and our previous qualification, you know, all those students that we had, and we had on several, I don't know how many hundreds, they all got jobs in the end. Some eventually did go back to their home countries because they got their qualifications here and they got jobs in their home countries, or they've gone to other countries and got jobs. The thing being is that this is the first time we're actually offering this particular level. So whilst I would like to say 100%, we won't know until we get those first cohorts through and at the right level. Catherine?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with New Zealand is it's a small country, and I know this is a very cliche thing to say, but it is about who you know as well as what you know. And this is why our course, you know, we really focus on that stakeholder engagement, how to talk to people, how to make those contacts, because that is going to be absolutely critical in finding a job afterwards. So we're really trying to cater for that and help students in that way.
Thank you. And I absolutely agree with that because I'm a living testimonial for that. It's all about networking. It's all about using, obviously, you need to do well in your qualification, and we will provide you the support, but it's all about going that extra edge, making a connections, being able to sell yourself in terms of, you can do the job. So again, the opportunity is there. Is just have to make the most of it.
Yeah, be proactive and work
Be
hard.
proactive. That's
Yeah.
the one. Thank you. Hi, Shweta. The question from Shweta is 15 years bachelor's is accepted. So the question again,
Yes, Bipul, that is because if you have done year 12, so means 12 year of schooling, and then you do a 3 years degree in South Asia, so that is acceptable as long as you have the required percentage and the relevance in the degree.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Singh. Alan again. Hi, Alan. The question is directed to Craig. You're very popular, Craig, today. So, if students with degrees, other degrees can be enrolled on this master's, do they need to study postgraduate or can they go directly into master's? Thank you.
If they've got a bachelor's degree and they've got a good grade, theoretically, they can go straight into our degree. One of the things they need to show and to demonstrate to us, however, is that they have the passion and the motivation to do the course, and that perhaps they've done a little bit of volunteer work, or they have some sort of interest outside of perhaps what their previous studies were. So like I say, if you were an art student, you had a Bachelor of Arts and you were painting the forest and whatever else, and you had an interest in the forest, well, yes, we would look at you differently as a student to come and do this course.
And
Catherine.
the reason we do that is because that's exactly what employers will do. So working in an environmental job it is a competitive area because people want to work in this area. It's an amazing area to work in, but it does mean that you've got to prove yourself. You've got to show that you're really passionate and interested, because everyone else applying for those jobs is also going to be passionate and interested. So that's why we're saying, have some volunteer work behind you, have some relevant work experience if you can, because that's what other people are going to have, and you'll be competing with that when it comes to getting jobs.
And Alan, one more thing, so getting admission is one thing, but getting visa is another thing. Immigration also looks at that program has to be relevant to your background. So you need to just make sure if you are putting any student from any other background into this program, you have very strong SOP and you are able to make a case in front of the immigration officer that how this program is relevant and how the student will achieve the desired career outcome out of this.
Yeah, the more motivated the student, the more proactive the student, the greater reward. So, if they can demonstrate that, then obviously Immigration New Zealand's going to look at that. We're also going to look at that as the tutors. So it's really something for the students to work towards and motivate themselves and demonstrate to us.
Absolutely. And I do agree with Mr. Singh and Craig as well. Immigration are the gatekeepers, and we have to make sure that, the application that goes to immigration is providing that genuine intent and background so that you have a better visa success rate. And that's what we all want to see. Your students applying to the program, being accepted, do end up coming here and being successful. So thank you for those feedback. All right, scholarship available? Yes and no. We don't have any scholarships for Tipukenga, which is we under the same umbrella at the moment. 2024, the fees is standard. We did communicate for 2025. Moving forward, there would be scholarships available to certain regions like Latin America, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific Islands. So, but there is no added scholarship on top of that. 2025, yes, to certain regions and countries. Okay. So again, Ashma, I think I've answered the question here as well. Thank you. Thank you for asking those questions again. Ms. Mubaraka, thank you for your question. Here, the inquiry is one of my student has completed Bachelor of Science in Physics in 2020. can she apply for the same course? She doesn't have any work experience. Bachelor of Science in Physics. Craig?
Technically, yes. However, remember, ours program, even though it's called Applied Science, is actually about biodiversity management. So they would then have to take the physics that they perhaps have learnt and apply that with a biodiversity focus and management. So, technically, yes, they could definitely apply. But again, it depends on where they can see and how they can use their degree to focus on that biodiversity management position. Catherine?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge benefit to be good with numbers if they're good in Excel and can do, you know, stuff with data, which sometimes physicists can. So there are skills, there are useful skills coming from a physics background. I mean, I myself came from a biochemistry background. It is entirely possible to change in that way, but the key thing is, why do you want to do it? You know, what's your motivation? And in some ways that's more important.
So,
Agree.
Craig, just want clarification. So work experience is not mandatory.
No.
Next one.
But it's useful, parent dip. I mean,
Yeah.
if they've got that passion, they've got that motivation, then that's just an added bonus on top of their qualification, and it will speak volumes when it comes to Immigration New Zealand and getting it through the visa process. It'll speak volumes when it comes to speaking with Catherine and I when we are looking and speaking to the students.
I mean, we say work experience is useful because it's a very easy way to prove that you've got that desire and want. It's not necessary to have it, but it's one easy way that you can show, look, I definitely want to do this because look at all this stuff I've done already.
Agree. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the next question is, can a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture apply for this program? I think already.
Yes, exactly the same situation. You know, I mean, in terms of New Zealand, we're an agricultural based country, farming, forestry, fishing, and so that's all about managing our resources. It's about the ecology, it's about environmental, but it's very hands-on and very applied. So absolutely, we would welcome students who have good grades and an agricultural background.
Thank you, Craig. I think I'll just probably skip through some of the questions. I'll still acknowledge it here. The question is, what if the applicant has done a bachelor's in respective relevant discipline, however, that doesn't have any work experience? I think Craig has already answered. Yes, bachelor's in respective discipline would be quite genuine in the application process. You don't need to have work experience as outlined. References, yes, I believe, Craig, you would need professional references, right? That would be what you're looking for. Is that right?
Well, the references aren't just about what the student is capable of. It's about their personality. It's about their motivation and their passion. We would like to see people who are applying, they want to do well, and they want to achieve not only for themselves, but also for all their cohorts and for the country and the world, you know, globally. I mean, it's a big thing, the environmental science and applied science. It's becoming one of the biggest topics in the world these days.
Yeah, we want people who want to save the world.
I think we definitely need to save the world. So
exactly.
Right, thank you. Brajesh is asking, what is the CGPA required for bachelor's degree? I think that's related to the percentage. Brajesh, we need a B minus average, but as Craig and Catherine has outlined, we are flexible, but you just need to present the case to us, and then we can assess the application based on your qualification or experience, right?
And also remember, this is a master's degree, so it is a level 9 here. You know, and that's looked upon favorably by a lot of countries around the world. So if you can actually stand up and say that you've got a master's degree, particularly, you know, from New Zealand, that will put you in good stead for job employment anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. And again, just to add to what Craig has said, we have a lot of experience in delivering master's program. And if you ask us, most of our students are doing extremely well. The reason being, we teach them in a very applied environment, but also provide them the support while they're studying here, build the confidence, provide them the opportunity to network with employers. And then it's up to them to be proactive, as Catherine said. And they got really good jobs in different fields. So I don't see any different approach for this masters. We will be setting you up for success, but you have to take that opportunity. Right. We have a lot of questions. Probably I'll go through some of them very quickly. Arpita is asking, first of all, acknowledging, thank you for giving a feedback. What the research component, do they need to appoint a supervisor before submitting the application?
No.
No, you don't need to. Right. Thank you. Okay, right. This is a very interesting one. Sushila Maharajan. Thank you, Sushila. How much of our annual income is accountable for sponsoring the student? That's an immigration question, Sushila. We need to be careful. We don't give any immigration advice. Please talk to immigration or talk to immigration advisor, and they can give you the information related to that.
There is a student visa checklist on immigration website. So Sheila, you
Yes.
should read that.
Absolutely. So please, Immigration New Zealand has got all the information and tools in hand. You just need to access them and be more prepared when you make the application process. Gagandeep, hi Gagandeep, namaste. After completion of this course, can the student apply for environmental research scientist job?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of the reasons we've got this applied science degree in the first place. When we speak to employers, what they're looking for are students with hands-on experience, vocational skills, rather than someone who's coming straight out of a university per se, who has learnt in a classroom environment only. So, yeah, we think this is going to be a better pathway for potential students going forward into the future.
Right, thank you. Kalpana, hi Kalpana. Kalpana is asking, IELTS verification is taking more time. Okay, sorry, Kavita has already answered that. Thank you, Kavita. If student has studied physical education subject in Bachelor in Arts, is he eligible for the program? I think.
If he likes running around the field and running up and down mountains collecting data, look, we would welcome that person. And there'll be plenty of opportunities for that to happen. Again, it really comes down to how well they demonstrate that they are motivated to do this course. Remember, this is an applied science with a biodiversity management background. So they need to make that connection. They need to make that step, how they would transition from what they've done previously into where they could go into the future. So really, it comes down to how they see their role going forward. Catherine, you want to say anything?
Yeah, well, it would be about selling yourself and making us understand what skills you have that nobody else that's applying for this course has. Why is that person special and different and can bring something unique? But yeah, you would have to be motivated, and you'd probably have a lot more to learn than other people that might already have a science background. So you'd have to make sure you were motivated to take on that challenge.
Absolutely. So I think we just want to make sure that you give the opportunity to the students, but also be mindful that the student has to showcase the genuine intent to study this program.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to immigration at the moment because they need to be happy with your application process. All right, so moving on. Irene has asked a question here. Hi, Irene. We have a student applying for Masters of Energy and Masters in Renewable Energy. can we offer this one to them? Again, it depends on the student's background and experience, or the background itself, educational qualification. So if we can, yeah, you're more than welcome to apply, and then we can assess the application based on the credentials and the experience. Gagandeep Kaur, I think you missed a part of the question. Scientist, sorry. Okay, I think the question was relating to the job outcome.
Yeah.
And Catherine has said yes. Anonymous attendee, could you please share the courses for the program, including the electives? Great. Yes, we shall. I think it is important for the students to also do the research. Go to the website, be proactive, learn about the course outline, the courses that are being offered. In case immigration does ask you question, you should be well prepared to answer them, rather than just relying on half information. So please tell your students to go and do the research on their side, because they'll be doing research as part of the master's component.
And I mean, we will be asking the students what
Yes.
their interests are as well, and why they want to do those particular courses. So yes, it's a good idea that students do some research and background on that. So when we do ask them, they can tell us.
Thank you, Craig. We have a lot of questions. We got 10 minutes in hand, but let's try to answer most of them. If we do not get your question, our apologies. We will make sure that we will come back to you with the answers later on. So we're not going to leave you out. Do the applicant require supervisor at the time of application process? No,
No.
we don't. Right. What happens if a student has a bachelor's of arts with no background in this area, but is looking for a change in career pathway? Would that be okay? We did
in,
answer that.
in theory, yes. But again, as Catherine said, they really need to demonstrate to us that they can catch up with those students who do have a bachelor's degree in the sciences. And it's a lot of hard work for that student, not only to come to a new country, to learn a new culture, but also to catch up with a whole lot of scientific jargon, language, principles, theories, models. So that's something that the student really need to look internally at as to whether they are motivated to do that, because otherwise it's really hard for those students because they've got a lot of challenges just coming to a new country to study. I mean, they're all good, but they're challenges nonetheless.
And challenges can be overcome if you get the
Exactly.
support and motivated. Absolutely. Sariana from Indonesia. Hi, Sariana. Good question. Any extra charges for the field trips? If you
There may be some if they are overnight or long distance, but most of the field trips will be local, so possibly most of them won't be, no, but there might be. They will also need to think about things like clothing, appropriate clothing. So there are costs associated with making sure they've got the correct clothing to go outdoors. Remember, New Zealand can be a bit cold in the winter.
Wet weather gear.
And wet
Gonna
weather
need your
gear,
gum boots.
boots. So there are those sort of costs that come in as well. So do tell your students that whilst there are fees, there are these other costs, and there might be the occasional field trip that does have a cost. But we will let the student know that well in advance. But most of them will be local.
Right. Thank you, Craig and Catherine. Pushpa from Nepal. Hi, Pushpa. Hope you're doing well. What academic background students are eligible for this program? So in generic, which are the backgrounds like agriculture, environmental science, forestry, biology, I believe can be added, which is very important. Anything else you want to add?
Ecology, zoology, conservation, biochemistry. They may have physical geography. They may even have economics as a science, data management, statistics. Anything else, Catherine?
Yeah, you said biochemistry, but also, chemistry, physics, the hard,
Yes,
the hard sciences
the
as
hard
well.
sciences, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Sciences. Okay, I like that.
Mathematics. Wouldn't that be fun?
of tea, but I'm sure we got some geeks out there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, join
Awesome.
the club.
Thank you. Thank you, Pushpa, for the question. Anonymous attendee, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. How does this program differ from the similar programs offered by other universities and colleges in New Zealand? Again, time to sell our program, Greg.
Good
How
question.
does it differ from
The
others?
key difference is that this is an applied science master's, where the students are actually out doing things. They'll be getting vocational skills, practical skills. This is when we speak to our potential employers and stakeholders, they're wanting the students to have these skills already. So they're not going to be sitting literally in a classroom all the time. They will do that some of the time. They'll be also going out and learning these skills. They'll be challenging themselves, learning with other stakeholders, networking with people, with businesses, with industry. Yeah, it's quite a change from the traditional model. And again, it's only 18 months as opposed to 24 months, which is a traditional university, which makes their fees even higher.
You also get way more support than you would at a university, because in a university you often are sitting in a class or in a lecture theatre with 200 other students. The lecturer doesn't know who you are. That's completely different for us. We have a lot of interaction with our students. We know all our students. We work with them. So I think students get a lot more face-to-face time with us, and we sort of build relationships. And it's a much better way of learning, in my opinion.
Yes.
Absolutely agree, Catherine. I think you said it on point, and Craig as well. I think the point of difference obviously is the hands-on experience. Qualification is applied. The location is also one of the key selling points. We are based in Rotorua, which is my hometown. The cost of living is lower. You have a good community network. People know people. The community is always there to help you out. I think that pastoral care support is extremely important while you're gaining a qualification, and we will be there for you in each step of the way. I think that's my personal experience. If you ask me, Toyoma has been very supportive, and we continue to empower our students to be successful. So you can count on us. Right. Okay, moving on. We got 5 minutes. Let me see what else we have here. Does the qualification helps towards earning a PhD in this field of study? What are the opportunities for a PhD within New Zealand? We have two PhD holders here, and one Ada is also studying a PhD, in fact. Please, would you like to?
In short, yes, absolutely. I mean, the master's is the immediate pathway into doing a PhD. You can't do that many other ways. But we would actually encourage the students to think that pathway right from the word go anyway. It definitely would show motivation, it would show passion, if that student was inclined to think about that right from the outset. But
And
it's
I
not
think,
necessary.
yeah, but I think that the thesis that you do is a very good kind of trial by fire for seeing if you're suitable for a PhD. Because if you can really fly with that thesis and do well with that, then that's going to tell you, yes, you've got the right kind of personality and skills to go on and do a PhD, which takes a bit longer, and it's hard. So you've got to be a certain kind of person to go for that challenge.
Right.
But
Sorry,
this
just a question from my end. The thesis component is 120 credits. Do they have to write certain? Is there a word limit on how much they have to? Like the masters by thesis we have, it's like around 40,000 words. What about the thesis we have for this masters? Is there a
there
limit
probably
on?
will be. There will be a rough word limit, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my
Okay,
head.
all right.
Yeah.
And related to this, there is another question. Do they have to be on campus while doing this research?
Whilst they're doing their research, no. But they do need to be on campus when it comes to doing their course papers. So there may be even opportunities for them to do their thesis work even externally from New Zealand if that's something they want to do. So this is something we would discuss with the student we would discuss how that is managed, how that is supervised, and how we would assist them. So there are options. We haven't excluded anything yet.
Again, just to be mindful, thank you for that clarification and question, Mr. Singh. I think we need to be mindful because on a student visa, you need to be abiding by the rules. So while there's an opportunity to be flexible in a location, you can probably go on a holiday to Milford Sound or Queenstown. But being offshore, I think you just need to be mindful. So it is the student's responsibility to adhere to the visa conditions. But the flexibility is there, which is absolutely amazing. Good. Right. So how much gap is accepted in this program, as a student has completed 10 years ago a degree? Again, is that acceptable by you, or?
I think they need to have a reasonable experience, verifiable experience. Otherwise, immigration won't
Yes,
take that as a serious student, because from the student background, it has to look like the primary purpose of coming to New Zealand is education. So if they haven't been involved in any suitable education activity or in employment activity, then it shows that it's not a serious student. So that's the
absolutely.
answer. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll just try and skip through the questions. Not saying that the questions are not important. We will come back to you. But let's see if we got any other themes that's rising out from this question box.
So, Bipul, this is very good if student has a low percentage of 50%, but have a very good
Right.
work experience. And in
Right.
the interview, they can demonstrate strongly and in the statement of purpose. So Craig can answer this.
Yes. Thank you.
Craig?
Oh,
Can you?
sorry. I didn't catch all of that. Sorry,
So,
what was that, Parendip?
there's a low percentage, say for example, 50%, but has a very good work experience in environmental science. And if they can demonstrate good in interview and then can give you a very good statement of purpose.
Again, in theory, yes, that's all possible. Again, they would have to demonstrate that very, very strongly within their CV, their letter to us, their references, and with us understanding their desire and their motivation for doing the course. All things are possible. It's just a question of, it really comes down to the student, their capabilities, their desire, their motivation, and the stronger we see that signal, the better they will do, and the better support everybody around them will offer as well.
Right.
I would
Thank you.
say
That
the
answer-
further that someone is away from that criteria, that the more they have to demonstrate that they really have the abilities and they really have the desire to do it. So if they're just a little bit under it, it's no big deal. But if you're quite a ways under it, you're going to have to work a bit harder to convince us that you're going to be able to do this course successfully.
And convince immigration. That's
Yeah,
important.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So again, related to this, Craig, there's another one. What if they have a diploma rather than a degree and a work experience?
As I said earlier, Parendip, we're open to everything and we'll look at everything. There will be criteria that we will look at, and we will make those decisions. But again, if the student can demonstrate their capabilities and their motivation, we're happy to look at things, because it's we don't want to turn people away, but equally we've got to make sure that they're the right people and the right fit for the right career path.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. There's a question around from Ashma. Double mastering. If a student has got a double master's, especially in the background of zoology, is that
Zoology.
acceptable?
Perfect.
Zoology, is that acceptable? Yeah,
Absolutely
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
absolutely. So it is quite relevant to what you're going
Definitely.
to study with us. Yes. So we do encourage applications from the relevant discipline. Thank you, Ashma, for the question. Now, moving on, let me see. We're just getting to the end of it. Please share the presentation. Yes, we will. If a student has a Bachelor of Science honors in Agricultural Technology and Management with a second class honors, can they apply? So, Agriculture, Technology and Management, Bachelor of Science.
Again, the
Yes.
same thing. Yeah, they've got the pre-entry requirements, they've got the qualification. Again, it comes to their motivation and their passion. Remember, this is about biodiversity management. They have to fit that in with whatever their background was in the past and how they can transition from where they've come from into this. And we will help them occasionally, no, not occasionally, we will help them do that as well.
Right. The feedback from one of the attendees is the website doesn't have the courses and electives. Kindly please share. Thank you for the feedback. And we shall be updating the website very soon because that's a very important source of information. And for the students, for the counselors, agents, and even immigration, they'll be looking at the website. So we shall be updating it pretty soon. Right. I think we're almost there. The key questions.
The courses are on the bottom of the web page.
Right. Right. So it is available, but
it's under papers.
The papers. Okay. Thank you, Craig.
Right at the very bottom.
There you go. So if anything else is there we need to add, we will be doing that as well. Last question, last but not the least, Santosh Dahal. Very good. Do you get paid while doing your research? Part-time job, yes, but it's not a paid research. You don't. I don't know. Craig, would you like to share?
I mean, if you're a really motivated and talented student, you could potentially be paid by industry, by employers to do your research work. But then a lot of that will come down to you as the individual. We can't assist with that as an institution, but there will be opportunities for those students to maybe get summer scholarships, and maybe work alongside industry. There are organizations that do offer internships. So yeah, look, they are there, but they're very competitive, and the student really has to be truly motivated to get and win those potentially.
Right. Thank you. All right. I think we should wrap it up now. But again, very good questions. And we really appreciate your questions coming in because the more you ask, the more we can share the information. But ladies and gentlemen, as we said, we are going to share the presentation and all the relevant information, checklist, all that's needed to make your job easier and for the students to make an informed decision. I just like to say that yes, make the application as soon as possible for November intake. Please be selective. Please make sure that you have the students' best interest in mind, and so that they are making the right choice for the future. It's a big investment, and we want to make sure that we are providing them the right information to make those right choices. Again, thank you for your time, but I'd just like to pass on. I'd just like to thank our panelists, especially Craig and Catherine, for sharing the expertise and giving. I learned a lot, and I think that's going to help me in my marketing role, counseling agents and partners. So, any last words of advice or thank you from all of you?
I think finally, we're looking forward to some good students who are keen to come to New Zealand. I mean, this is a wonderful place to study. It's a wonderful place to learn. The opportunities are here, provided the student is prepared to put in the work. Remember, this is about biodiversity management, and it is applied, so it is hands-on. So they're going to get wet, they're going to get dirty, they're going to have fun. So we welcome them.
Yep. And we like our creative thinkers as well. Bring your ideas, bring your enthusiasm. I wasn't kidding when I said we want people who want to save the world, aim high.
Yeah. And I just want to add, actually, Craig and Catherine have a lot of experience in dealing with international students. In the past, they have taught a lot of, if you remember, we used to have graduate diploma in resource management, in which we used to have hundreds of students every year. So Craig and Catherine both have supported them well. And that's what Craig was earlier mentioning. A lot of them have gone to a very successful career in New Zealand and abroad. So that's another good thing, that they know how to handle or how to work with international students.
Thank you very much for joining our webinar tonight. If you have further questions, please feel free to email us on the email address on the screen, international.applications@toihomai.ac.nz. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Kavita?
Thank you everyone for joining this webinar.
All right. Thank you very much again. Thank you for joining our webinar. We wish you a very safe and healthy day wherever you are. And we shall be communicating very soon with all the information and the recording. So, Kakite, stay safe and thank you for your support. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.